Exit Wounds is a deep recounting of the experiences and realities of Black men in today's world. It has shown how social stereotypes have repressed Black men by creating invisible and irreparable wounds that last a lifetime, which leads us questioning the balance between what is seen as justice and social imbalance. The socially entrenched prejudices have a significant impact on the self-esteem, motivation, and pride of Black men. So please join my co-host Chris and I, and our welcome guest Daryl Barnes from All Things Black podcast, therapist Earnell McGaney, as we embark on this 5-part miniseries from a Black man's perspective on how the world looks at us through the look of eyes.
All right, welcome back to another episode. It's the second episode of the miniseries Exit Wound, a miniseries from Through the Looking Glass. And I'm Markis. I'm the host for the night. And I want to introduce the other guys that I got on the panel with me. Off with Mr. Earnell.
Hey, how you doing? My name's
Go ahead.
No problem. My name's Earnell McGaney. I'm glad to be here. Thank y'all for having me. I'm a counselor by trade, so you can find me at Psychology Today. Just look me up, first name, last name, and yeah, thank you again for having me.
What's going on? It's Chris, co-host Through the Looking Glass. Also, you can find me on IG at BYOB_lifestyle.
Yes, sir. Again, thank you for having me on the show. My name is Daryl. I'm the host and producer of the All Things Black podcast. I also have a background and a degree in audio engineering and recording. And so I'm just ecstatic again to be on the show. You said Through the Looking Glass. I've been on a couple of you guys' show. It was absolutely phenomenal and great just to hear the different perspectives and things like that. So yeah, man, Markis, let's get it kicked off.
Let's get it, man. Let's get it. So on this episode, we're going to dive into Black men, the mental health capacity of it, just where we at on that level, because there's a lot of things going on in society. We got a lot of Black men behind bars. We got a lot of Black men that's just having these breakdowns. A lot of Black men that's not even in the families. I feel like it's some help that we need as Black men mentally to get through today's society. So, and I understand a lot of stuff because us as Black men, we go through things daily, whether it's dealing with our wives, dealing with our families, and we carry a lot of burdens. So I just want to be able to let this episode talk about mental health and how we need to, what that looks like and what good mental health is and what bad mental health. And I'm just trying to get back in a good space to where you can survive out here and to thrive. So we'll start off with the question, what are some things that as Black men that we go through that you feel that we have to deal with mentally?
So I'm big into the whole mental health topic now, especially with Black men because of what I've been through and going through counseling and working through things that I thought I was working on something else, but that was just the surface level. Once I got deeper, I started learning it's stuff that I had built up from back when I was a kid and teenage years and early 20s. And I was just all this stuff that I had in me that I didn't even know. And we just carry that. And some of it is a burden, but it's just like, we just, as Black men, we carry so much that we don't, because we, at a young age, we've been taught to, hey, don't show emotion, toughen up, man up. And then we just built this armor and we just got these scabs that just we keep piling on and piling on. So, man, I'm telling you, it's much needed for us having those mental checks and then doing what you need to do to get your head right.
You're right. I can say that for myself because I could say this honestly, if I hadn't gotten to the mental field, I wouldn't be on this show right now. I wouldn't be doing this because I'll probably be shut up, just working in a factory, just doing something like that, just holding all my anger in and everything like that. And I would not be who I am today without having good mental health background. Because if I didn't, man, I wouldn't be here. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah, totally understand that real quick. because I definitely want to hear what the professional in the house has to say.
Oh yeah, yes sir. We're gonna pick his brain.
Listen, real quick. But I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with the man up part. What I think the issue is that we really haven't had a sufficient outlet to get those different things off of our back and had somebody to really listen to us, right? And really listen to those different experiences and go to bat for us, because there's not been a lot of advocacy for Black men. I think it's more so now, more prevalent now than it used to be. But yeah, there was really no avenues for a lot of us to be able to go and really express ourselves and really talk about these different things. Because if you got to remember, if you had a father in the house or maybe somebody else, and as a young boy, you could at least go to Pops and say, hey, Pops, this is what I'm going through. This is my experience, because you got somebody there that was in the road before you. They came before you. So with their experiences, they can actually speak to those experiences and then hand that information down to you. But if you're in a situation where you're like a single parent household and there's no men around or anything like that, they can speak to you as a young man. That's hard, man. That is hard, because again, you don't have the example, you don't have anybody to talk to, nobody knows exactly what it is that you're going through. So I just think it's more avenue and advocacy more than anything else. And I think now that it's becoming more commonplace where Black men can fully express themselves. Now, there's a bit of a problem with that, because we got certain communities that have opened up in the podcasting space that have went like rocket ships somewhere else. But advocacy and avenues is the biggest thing for me. But I'll stop there.
No, I mean, you made a lot of great points. I mean, definitely not having fathers in the home, the single parent homes, it's definitely an issue, because like you said, there is no outlets, there is no one to talk to. So I mean, just as men in general, Chris touched on this, we're basically raised not allowed to show emotions. We're allowed to show one emotion: anger. Anger is acceptable for men. If I'm sad, if I'm hurt, if I'm disappointed, nobody wants to see that. But if I'm mad, okay, it's cool, it's all right. So the whole angry Black man or angry man thing, that's the only emotion we're allowed to show. So anything else is unacceptable, even from people in our own community. Like you said, suck it up. Nobody wants to see you crying. So we get stuck with just showing anger. But going through counseling, you learn to tap into other emotions. Like, okay, I wasn't angry, I was hurt, I was disappointed. And you go back and revisit, like Chris did, some of those past things. But I think a bigger problem, but it's starting to change now, is mental health or counseling or whatever you want to call it. It's really not a thing in the Black community. It's not believed in. You can suck it up or you can go to church. Those are the only two options.
Yeah,
you don't need to go talk to
some things you can't pray your way out.
You're right. But you don't, even if you can't, you don't need to go talk to those people and get put on medicine. They might think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't talk to those people.
Yeah, because that's it, man. Because I was thinking about when Daryl was saying something about the single home. I know he's saying, I come from a single parent home, not by choice, but my mom raised me. But the thing is, I had not tell my age, but I had my family was around me. I grew up in the country. So right. I had my uncles, I had my granddad, I had my cousins up the road or whatever. I could, within a 5-mile radius, it was 30 of us, or maybe 100. You know what I'm saying? So I had the community. But it's different when you're not in the community.
Right.
And you're growing up in that single home and you don't know how to be raised, because your mom might be, or your dad might be still in the streets. You know what I'm saying? You stuck to raise yourself. And that's a whole nother mentality, because you growing with that mentality, I don't got to survive. And so I have to be this one certain way. And like what Nell was saying, all I can do is show anger and be hard. I can't do nothing else. Because the first time I show weakness, that's when somebody's gonna take advantage of me.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just all we can show is anger. I think that's the only, once we show anger, that's the only time we can get a response. And that's what gets people attention, is once we've gotten to the point where we've gotten angry. And as guys just don't get angry all of a sudden. And I'm, like I said, talking about me, I don't just get angry all of a sudden. This is something that it's been building up, and it's just different stages on it. You might see me a little upset and everything. So I've suppressed everything. and other people around me have just ignored the signs. And then it wasn't until I blew up, now it's, oh man, you overreacting. What? Man, it ain't that big of a deal. And then I'm thinking in my head, like, now you're not validating my feelings because I've been dealing with this for X amount of time. And now you're just saying, oh, it ain't that big of a deal. You overreacted.
That
And
iceberg effect.
yeah,
That needs
Yeah.
to be in the loop. That needs to be in the loop. That needs to be put on a loop where it just keeps repeating itself. You got because that's dead on. That is absolutely dead on. Because I hate the narrative that runs with us. We're just angry all the time. No, we just don't get angry just because. You know, that's stupid to think somebody gets angry just at the drop of a dime. It doesn't happen like that. There is extenuating circumstances for the most part that leads up to that, right? And what we have been disappointed about, because I'm glad you brought that up. We could have been disappointed about something. Think whatever the case may be, it could have been bothering us. And again, there's no outlet. There's nobody to believe us. There's nobody to console us in the things that we're actually going through. It's just one of those things, man. So I guarantee you, I thought about this maybe a couple of weeks ago, just asking the question, when is the last time that a Black man really felt safe? You understand what I'm saying? When is the last time that a Black man really felt safe?
Can you be safe?
Yeah, you can, but when is the last time you really felt safe? Right?
Safe with who? Like with our own people or with just in general?
Just in general.
Are we safe though?
It's just a question, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. When's the last time you really felt safe? You know, that you can go somewhere and you can let your guard down and you don't have to worry about anybody doing anything or saying anything. And your people included, racism, somebody's doing something out of the norm, stuff like that, right? Because again, we don't have these different outlets, which is why Earnell is so prevalent or so valuable in the community right now, and others that are like him that are having these different avenues that you can actually go to and sit down and get this thing talked out, because sometimes people that are familiar with us don't believe us. The more somebody's familiar with you in your family, in your circle of friends, whatever the case may be, sometimes they don't believe you. So you got to go to a third party to get somebody to really believe in what it is that is happening to you. So I thank you for that, Earnell.
No, I mean, it's not just me, it's you guys too. Because I mean, I'm glad you gave that example, because even in my friend group, even given my profession, nobody wants to hear me. But if they went to somebody else and they got told the same thing, they listen. But it's like you said, it's that third party aspect. So as long as it's out there doing the work, whether they're professional or not, helping somebody see a different perspective, I mean, that's the important part. So we all have a role to play. And I also love that you brought up that I don't get angry just because. You're exactly right. Anger is a secondary emotion. We're angry, but what happened before the anger? I was sad, I was hurt, I was disappointed. But a lot of times we don't voice that. Hey, Chris, man, it really disappointed me when you didn't invite me to the party. We don't say that. Nobody says that. I'm not gonna tell Chris I was sad and disappointed.
Hey, that's
I'm gonna just get pissed off that Chris didn't invite me. Man, forget Chris. He didn't invite me to the party.
After school.
I'll just come over to your house the next day and take all your chips.
Right. But I'm not gonna let you know I was sad and disappointed. Would that just be the easiest thing to do?
It's like we display it though. You know what I'm saying? It's like you say, okay, Chris, you ain't invite me to the party. The next time, you know what I'm saying, you invite me over, I'm gonna let you know that I was upset the first time. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna do something.
Yeah. And the thing is about the, you know what I'm saying, Black men getting angry. Like I said, it doesn't, now I know this is from me, for as the help and counseling I've received, I can point and see when somebody else is going on. So I might pull somebody to the side and be like, yo, man, you good? Like, everything all right? And then they always say, hey, I'm okay. And then once I hear that I'm okay or I'm fine, then I know it's not okay. So then without crying too much, just trying to let this person know that, look, man, yo, you can talk to me and like you can talk to me, we can talk this out, because I don't want you to walk around with that weighing you down. And then you can't focus on other aspects of your life. So just trying to just noticing that from, especially like I said, our friend group and, you know what I'm saying, folks who we're around, just being able to pick up on those subtle signs that, hey, look, man, let me pull this person to the side instead of just calling them out. And then, like I said, not waiting until it blew up. Because I've had times where I tell them, hey, look, man, this dude, man, something about to happen. And they were like, man, man, you over exaggerate. It ain't that big of a deal. 30 minutes later, hour later, something jumping off. And I was like, man, I told y'all, man, I saw it. I saw all the signs was there that this was going to happen. Yeah. But I know, and then also to follow up what Earnell was saying, as far as not wanting to talk to people that's close to you. And I think that's more so far as judgment. I wanting to be judged and feel like this person is judging you for the feelings that you're having. And then that's when you just making sure you have that good circle around you that you know you can go to talk about. And it might not be everything, but certain things. Because I know with me, I've got a circle of maybe 4 or 5 people that I know I can go talk to about certain instances when I'm feeling a certain way. And I think that's, like I said, what a lot of us guys need is that circle.
So what do you guys think? I know society is a part of it, but I feel like a lot of things happen with mental health and the black man, because I know we take on a lot of roles, and I felt like we've been attacked forever. That's just how I feel. That's my opinion. I feel like we have to do the unbelievable to even stand a chance sometimes, and it just hurts. You know what I'm saying? And then you get to that point where, I mean, have I done enough? Can I do it? I mean, have I done enough? And then when you don't do enough and nobody respects you for it, then you can go into a whole nother type of form of depression or something like that. Because I mean, that depression is real, and there's a lot of black men that go through it, but they're quiet about it, and they don't. Even though it's a platform now, and that some people talk about it more, but you still have some of those guys that still in that mentality that it's just you're hard. You know what I'm saying? I can't express my feelings. I don't do none of that. It ain't nothing that I want to do. You know what I'm saying? But you're going through this whole battle internally on your own. What about that person right there? How did that person, man? I mean, how did that person get to where he can get his mental health back?
That's a hard one, because I mean, I tell some people, I mean, sometimes you just got to hit rock bottom. That's the only time you're ready to get help. You hit rock bottom and you got nowhere else to go. The scary part about that is, especially with black men, our rates of suicide are increasing.
Yes, sir.
So sometimes even when you hit rock bottom, you may just go ahead and take your life versus getting the help, because that's the easier option. That's scary. I'd rather take my own life and let people know I'm going to get help.
So, since you said that recently has happened. But it happens if I had the stats to it, I think it happens almost every day. It takes their life in suicide.
But that's why it's so important that we begin to share resources. Again, here's Earnell, a professional certified counselor. So we all should take down this information.
Yes.
We run into somebody that needs professional counseling, we just nudge them. You know what I'm saying? And again, you do it in a way where they know that you have their best interest at heart, and they can feel it instead of just rushing the car and say, here, man, you need to go see some. No, I don't think that's appropriate at the time, especially when somebody is really going through something. But yeah, just getting those resources and begin to talk to your brother in a way that you're showing that you care. You really show that you care, and being able to do that. I think for me, one of the things that really helped me out was the fact that I had to find outlets, and some of the outlets were me being, first of all, I was again taught in a different generation. You sit down at the foot of your elders and you listen to them and their perspectives, and you take on a lot of that. Especially if it's good, you take on a lot of that and you try your best to apply it or implement it into your life. And again, I think the fact that I began to read a lot, I read a lot. I started to study certain things. I started to look into our environment. I started to understand the different systems that were set into place for Black men to essentially fail at all costs in every facet of life. I began to understand that. Kind of eased me, gave me a sense of not necessarily peace, but understanding, because I know I walk out my door, there's a system in place to stop me from being successful or try to stop me from doing certain things. So by having that insight, I can now see certain pitfalls are in my path, and I can begin to navigate from some of those, right? I can save myself from being put in bad situations because now I know, and I think that's the biggest part. Some of us have been taught, some of us disregard all that information altogether, and we think we can live our life according to how we want to live it. But again, you got to understand that there's systems in place, and they've been in place for quite some time to stop black men wholesale from doing certain things. That's the biggest thing. But I just wanted to add that.
I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad you said that, because I didn't even know that was a thing until, when I first started counseling, I had a supervisor, white guy, real nice guy, real intelligent, told me that, you know what, Earnell? Everything in this world is as it should be. What you mean? From slavery, everything, the way your people are treated, black people are treated, everything is as it should be.
Really?
I was about to get mad. He said, think about it. Think about back who founded this country. White people. It was like, yeah, granted, your people helped build it, but white people founded the country. They founded it. They put rules in place, systems in place for their people. So the system that's in place now, there's been some tweaks, but it's the same system that was founded. It wasn't for you. It wasn't built for you. So people walk around saying the system is broken. No, the system isn't broken. It's working exactly the way it should be. It's just not working for you.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. When you first started off, I'm like, hold up, but no,
right.
I see it all of our faces. Like, hold up, man. Like that, like man, you ain't put hands on this dude. But after you hear it, it's like, no, it makes total sense.
But were we not here first? But I don't even want to get on that. But yeah, I can totally understand that, man. I mean, because it wasn't built for they built it for them, and it was not built for us. They built it off our back, but they had no intention for us to be a part of their society. So that's how that goes. But that's a whole nother mental breakdown. Because it's from that, man, it's like you go through that slave mentality, but you got to get yourself out of it. And that's a whole nother mental area that, you know, I don't even know if you want to talk about that. But
I was saying on I was saying on one of Michelle's episodes that we did together, and we talked about the imbalance, and I was mentioning the fact that we have generations upon generations of people through so many traumatic experiences that imbalance that was yesterday is now our imbalance that we have to shoulder today. And to me, that's what you're looking at. It's just not the trauma itself. It's literally an imbalance. And because the world is the way it is, like Brother Earnell was talking about, because the world is the way it is, all of us are suffering from that imbalance. And to be totally honest, even white people who have been told that they are superior to everybody else, they're suffering from an imbalance, because that's a lie.
True.
That's a lie. That they've been told a lie wholesale, that they're better than everybody else because they have white skin. So we look at a country that is totally imbalanced, and then on top of that, the traumas that was inflicted upon us, the physical abuses, the separation of the family, right? All of that stuff did something to us that we now we've been carrying it for generations upon generations. And fortunately, again, now you have counselors, you have a lot of Black people that are now entering the field of counseling, some for very good reasons, others for whatever reason, right? But the fact that remains is that we're recognizing the importance of having counselors, right? Doing that kind of work. Like, I briefly went through counseling brother, man, and that brother was, hey, listen, he was asking me some hard questions, and I was like,
yeah.
But it's necessary. And it has to get to a point where in our community, we no longer see counseling as taboo. It should be natural, because we're all suffering in some form of fashion, and the weed's not going to do it. The marijuana gets you high for maybe about 20, 30 minutes or whatever. Now you got to go smoke another J. You know, you got to go drink some more alcohol to medicate yourself. It'd be better if you would just leave those vices alone and go seek some professional help that can actually help you navigate these different traumas and spaces that will give you something long lasting, rather than a 20-minute hit to get you out of that world, of that thought process. But yeah, man. So again, for all of those Black people that are entering that space, I think it's phenomenal, and I think we need to keep entering those spaces and making people more aware that counseling is not taboo. It's something that's so necessary, because you're looking at more of an imbalance now, more so than ever, because you talked about the high suicide rates among Black men. And again, there's no advocacy. There's more advocacy now than it used to be, but we need to be made aware of it. And we need to, as Black men, need to be let known that it's okay, man. Just go talk to. I'd rather you go talk to somebody, man, than put a bullet in your head.
I do too. It's
So, but that's my take.
Yeah, I mean, because the counseling, it is a necessary, because same way you go to the doctor and you get your physicals annually, or how often you go, or you go to the dentist every 4 to 6 months to get your checkups. Going to therapy or counseling, it's all it is. You're doing a checkup, a mental checkup, making sure everything is good in here, because every day we all have different stresses that's put on us. And some of them we know that they're there, but you still need to go get your brain, like your mental, basically maintained the same way you do your car. After so many miles, you need to take your car in. It might not be nothing totally wrong with it, but you might need to go ahead and change the oil, get the tires rotated, get it touched up. And I feel that's the same way I feel about counseling and therapy. And I mean, when I hear myself say it now, I'm like, yo, this is totally different, because 4 or 5 years ago, people telling me that, I'm like, yo, come on, man. I'm like, dude, I'm all right. I'm all right. I don't need that. Ain't nothing wrong with my head. But like I said, everybody needs it. No one is above it.
Yeah, it's a necessity for us with the mental aspect. Also, I always say you gotta be spiritual too about yourself. Gotta have some time of alignment, man, there to help with your mental. But I don't wanna go religious on anybody, but because everybody got different beliefs. And I don't wanna I really don't care, because this is my podcast. I want to say, but I do got a question. Like, how many Black men do you actually get, man, or do you get any at any time? Man? Is it low? Do you see a low response on that, or I mean,
It's starting to
coming in,
increase. Like a couple of years ago, like I had next to none, maybe one or two. Now I probably have about 10
That's awesome.
out of all the clients I have, probably about 10. So yeah, it's
'Cause
increased a
I
fair
thought
amount.
I thought it'd be less than that, but that's awesome, man. Because I've even done counseling myself, just even though I do some addiction counseling sometimes, but done counseling myself, and I just be like, it's good for you. Because I was saying, like, those hard questions, man. When they start asking those questions, those are, the questions, the I statements, and this, that, tell me how you feel, and all the whys and the hows. And then, you know what I'm saying? Because what it is, man, it allows you to release yourself, even though you're talking about it. The therapist is there to listen and to guide you. You got to get this out of your system yourself.
Right.
That's when the breakthroughs start happening, when you're able to talk about that past trauma and talk about what happened to you when, because your daddy gone, your daddy wasn't there, or mommy wasn't there, nothing like that. When you start really talking about those issues and those trauma and those past experiences that you had, you really begin to start healing, man. And that's the part of the process, man, as far as like getting that mental space back and getting yourself back, because you learn a lot about yourself when you're going through that therapy and that mental, getting your mental together.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
Sadly, it doesn't happen until you're older. But I mean, a lot of people say the same thing. I grew up in all this chaos and everything, and I thought it was normal. So why would I think something's wrong if I feel like it's normal? It wasn't until I got older and I moved away, or I went over to my friend's house and I saw something different, that I realized, man, all this stuff I'm going through, this ain't normal. Maybe something is wrong. Maybe something is off. But a lot of us get trapped in that chaos and never make it out. So now, why do I need help? This is normal.
Yeah.
The old saying, if you knew better, you do better.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as getting help or anything like that, I know we got Earnell right here. We got a professional right here, guys. And you guys, you got to use your resources. I think we've been pushing resources the last couple episodes, but you got to use your resources.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. We're going to wrap this session up. It's been a good session. I appreciate you guys being on this panel for these episodes. And I think we're going to get some good things out of here and help a lot of people. So what's that one thing that you guys would let our community know, or let our people know what they need to do about their mental health? Start off with Chris. Let's go.
I would just say finding somebody to talk to, like reaching out to a therapist. And like I said, it might take
Daryl?
Pretty much what I was going to say, but I will add for the individual, if you ever get to a place where you begin to feel numb or feel that you are beginning to not be in control of certain things, certain emotions and stuff like that in your life, I think that's a point where you need to begin to start reaching out. Don't numb yourself, but with vices. But I think that's the time when you need to start reaching out to somebody. And like Chris said, do your research. Find somebody that you're very comfortable with, that you can see long term, or just like forming a relationship or whatever the case may be. But find somebody that you know that you think you can be with long term, that's going to be able to help you get out of you what's sitting inside of you. And check in on yourself, man. If you know that you are out of balance, if you feel that you're out of balance, do something about it immediately. Do not wait. Like Chris said, do not wait. Rock bottom, most of us, when we do hit, that's when we finally realize it, because we have this thing called deceptive intelligence, which was a phrase coined by Minister Louis Farrakhan. And it's called deceptive intelligence, where we rationalize like wrongdoing, and we begin to rationalize certain things that we're into, or activities or whatever the case may be, and we begin to justify certain things. It's really no big deal, stuff like that, right? But we got to get out of that. We have to get out of that type of thinking. Once something appears as though it's going to imbalance you, I think that's the time where you have to really make a hardcore decision to say, you know what, let me go seek some real help and be serious about it. Be very serious, be very intentional, be very serious about it. No matter the length of time that you feel like you need to get it accomplished, but go out and really seek some help. And because there's a lot of Black counselors out here now that are willing to do that work with you and to get you the help that you need.
On that?
I mean, I think you guys nailed it. I mean, hey, not really much to say after that. I mean, check in on yourself, friends and family, check in on your people. And, Chris is right. It's just like a doctor. You're not going to find one on the first time. You're going to find somebody that vibes with you, that you vibe with. But, you got to make that effort.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in rock bottom, I mean, sometimes you just need somebody. It doesn't even have to be a therapist. Just find somebody you can talk to, you can be open with.
That's it. I agree with what everybody said on the panel. I appreciate you guys, man. I feel like we becoming a brotherhood right now. So, and we just understand, learning from each other. I appreciate the time. And I just add, if you can prevent from hitting rock bottom, prevent it. Because you can see the signs. And if somebody else is telling you, because it's a lot of people that'll tell you, if that's really close to you, they'll tell you before you even notice it. And you just got to start, and you take those signals and start looking at it and ask yourself, am I okay? And check yourself. But yeah, y'all just let us know where we can reach y'all at. Daryl, you had something?
No, I was just going to make sure that Neil provides his information fully on this episode. And then at the same time, I want to be able to write it down and be able to pass it on. So.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so
let's start with Earnell. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said, you can always find me on Psychology Today. Just go on the site, type in my name, EARNELL, last name MCGHANEY. You can find me that way. Just give me a call. My number is 803-767-6297. Or you can shoot me an email. My email address is emcghane2@gmail.com.
All right, there, where you can reach you at.
Again, I am a podcaster, host and producer, All Things Black Podcast. There's an email address there as well when you go onto the website or even one of the streaming platforms. If you feel like you need to get in contact with me, you want to be on the show, whatever the case may be, and just talk about things that are relevant in the Black community, I am always open to having that conversation. So again, it's the All Things Black Podcast. And again, I am absolutely ecstatic about being on this mini-series and want to see what the next episodes are going to be like.
Chris.
All right, yeah, you can check me out on the website, theLookingGlass.fans, and also on IG, BYOB_lifestyle.
All right. Well, Markis, y'all can check me out through the Looking Glass and on all platforms. We're everywhere. Apple, Spotify. We're even on the cloud or somewhere now. But we just want to check y'all. Thank y'all for listening.